Hi, and welcome back. Let's take a look to the introduction to animation. So what is animation? Animation is actually defined as the act of making something come alive. So it is actually concerned with the visual or aesthetic aspects of the project. Animation is the creation of the illusion of movement using a series of still images. We don't actually see or assume that the animation or animated characters really move, but actually it is the illusion of movement that is being created through a series of still images. So how is this possible, you may ask? So animation is possible because of the biological phenomenon known as persistence of vision and a physical phenomenon called pi. An object seen by the human eye remains chemically mapped on the eye's retina for a brief time after viewing. So this is the underlying biological phenomenon, which is also known as the persistence of vision. Upon seeing one image, and then our eyes will be taking some time, rather the retina will be taking some time to view and comprehend the first image. And when the second image is shown, normally this is in a series of still images. So when the second image is being shown, our eyes will need some time again, okay, will take some time to get accustomed or to adjust to the second picture, or the second image rather, right? So the slight variation from the first image to the second is the creation or the illusion of movements. So that's why animation is considered an illusion rather than the actual movement of the series of images. So this is an example of some of the examples of animation which are made available through the use of a software. In this case, this is a Adobe Premiere software, which comes pre-equipped with a list of animations. Let's take a look at computer-generated animation. It's basically divided into two parts. To understand animation better, in terms of computer-generated animation, we shall be looking into animation space and animation techniques. We shall deal with the animation space first. Right, computer-generated animation, animation space. So animation can be rendered in either two-dimensional space, 2.5 dimension, and 3-dimensional space. So let's take a look at the first one, which is the two-dimensional space or the 2D space. This is the kind of animation that is created through the 2-dimension, which we normally see in cartoon or the now currently called animation. In yesteryears, we normally see the 2D animation in the form of Mickey Mouse or the Disney cartoons, right? So this 2D animation refers to the creation and or modification of moving pictures or figures or images on computers in a 2-dimensional environment using a 2D bitmap and a 2D vector graphics. So the 2D here, the 2-dimension here refers to the flat Cartesian coordinates or axes, which are X and Y axis, right? And the 2D animations are actually very simple and static without changing their position on screen. Remember, we are dealing with computer-generated animation, so it's on screen. So the visual changes occur on the flat Cartesian X and Y axis, and the images can be seen from only one angle at a time. Another computer-generated animation in terms of animation space is the 2.5 dimensional space animation, or the 2.5D animation. This is an illusion of depth through the Z-axis, which is added and created to an image through the shadowing and highlighting and force perspective on the image. But the image itself still rests on the flat X and Y axis in 2 dimensions. Okay. Normally, when it comes to 2.5D, it is created through the clever use of shadowing and highlighting of the characters or the images which appear in that particular animation. Okay, so somewhat it becomes a forced perspective to us, to the viewers. The third animation space is the 3D or the 3D. This is a more complicated and realistic animations which are done in 3D space, which involves the X-axis, Y-axis, and the Z-axis in its actual sense. So images or objects are created with the front, back, sides, top, and bottom perspectives to move towards or away from the user, or rather the viewer. All right. So when we talk about 3D animation or 3D animation space, we are actually having or referring to a complete object or a complete image, whereby the front part, the back part, the top, and all sides of the image or the character or the object will be made available for the viewers to look at. That's why it is called a 3D space. It is like the real thing or the lifelike. Okay, we have reached the end of the first part of chapter 5 on animation.